storm is coming, but I'm prepared. I'll be gone for a while, but don't be scared. Right now, I don't know if I'll ever arrive where the grass is green and we're still alive. I hope I'll see you on the other side. I know that I'll be paying for the ride into the black hole. Sing for my soul. Through the black hole. To make myself whole again. You want the truth and you're having doubts. But if I tell you now, the sun dies out. 'Cause I can only give you my heart. When the darkest clouds begin to part, I hope I'll see you on the other side. I know that I'll be paying for the ride into the black hole. Sing for my soul. Through the black hole. To make myself whole again. I'll give you my love. Can't give you my love. No, I'll give you my love. Can't give you my love. I'll give you my love into the black hole. Sing for my soul. Through the black hole. To make myself whole again.
Good evening, brothers, sisters, and ginormous sisters. It's time to kick off season 2 of the Pirates of the Geek Vortex with me, your host, Ollamh. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, we are back. We have a few topics already picked out amongst ourselves, which is great. That makes things a whole lot more easygoing when we all kind of know ahead of time and have decided on topics. As you may notice, some of our graphics have changed. Our intro card, our thumbnail has changed. Actually have more people's faces on them. Changed up the ship a little bit, put up a little shelf over the door for mementos and stuff like that. And yes, I am ready to get into it. So let's jump into the voice chat here and see who all we've got. Hello there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, we've got it. Wow. Hang on a moment here. Need to back off Rascalin's volume here a little bit on my end.
And I see where you got that picture from of me.
I don't know what you mean.
Basically, I'm making that face because my sister is trying to hug me.
That's pretty much the face you make whenever whenever anybody takes a picture. I've not seen a picture of you that didn't have that face.
What? You've seen my main Facebook picture.
Not for a while. I haven't looked at your main Facebook picture, but I mean, I remember taking you wanting to get some decent shots and going over to
Jumers.
Yeah, going over there, and that's still the face that you made.
I'm very bad at posing for photos, but I don't know, that Facebook one of me and some others, maybe we could change it to that later.
If I can get a high quality version of it, yeah.
I will send it to you.
Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, that was the only one that I knew that was fairly recent that I was gonna be able to snag with being high quality.
Gotcha.
Because, yeah, if I try and take it from, like, your profile or something, those are shrunk down because, well, profile pictures don't have to be big, so they're, like, a few hundred pixels by a few hundred pixels, and it's like, that's going to look bad when you layer it into something that's, 1920 by 1080.
I've got one more recent than my Facebook one, so give me a few.
All right. Well, take your time, because, yeah, I'm not going to be able to layer it in
Right.
Tonight. Well, at least not while we're doing this.
Right.
So, how has everybody been?
Exhausted as fuck.
Same. I just got back from the doctor today.
Oh, joy. Everybody's going to the doctor.
Yeah.
Blood pressure was 148 over 100.
Well, shit.
Yeah, that's not so good.
So I am now on a series of, here, have a flu shot. Here, let us take about 6 vials of blood. So that was my day after I got out of work early to go do that.
Joy.
Well, was the other news any better?
You mean your other news, or?
No, I just assumed that they did more than blood pressure and blood tests.
I'll know when they're done with the blood tests.
No, my news is it just sucks all around, so...
Well,
although, somebody did call me, what was it? Organization personified today?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was one of the volunteer groups I work with, and it's like, yes, you've always been so on top of things, you're well scheduled, you are organization personified. And I was like, I don't think anybody else would agree with you, but I'll take the compliment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do tend to be a bit more organized than some people I know. That's
yeah.
something.
I mean, when it comes to, like, meetings and such, yes, I'm very organized, but, like, if you ever saw my room, organization is not the word I would use.
Oh, well, yeah, that's...
But then again, when did organize and clean ever mean the same thing?
True. That's a very, very good point. Yeah, see, I organization and me don't really get along. I mean, I can be organized, kind of, but you know, it's
But what's the fun in that?
kind
I'm-
of it's a very chaotic organization.
I'm organized at work. Home is a different story.
Yeah, see,
Hi,
it's
could you like stand there so I can fire off some laser blasts into you? Thank you. Excuse me. I did not ask for these chains. This is non-consensual.
what are you playing today?
Warframe.
Ah.
I am capturing an autistic child's emotions. I wish I was kidding about that, but that's the mission.
Okay. Interesting.
Basically, as I was telling Ras before you got here, is this whole mission was made to be like creepy and spooky because it came out during Halloween originally. And it's all about like, oh look, you've gone onto a map, and instead of enemies, there's nothing here. It's eerily quiet. There's blood all over the walls. What could have happened? And then you see like what appears to be a ghost, and then suddenly they start talking about, oh, it's Holy Rel and his void energy and blah blah blah, and they talk about how Rel was an odd child and he liked creepy things. He didn't talk to anybody. He had trouble expressing his emotions, and he bred pet spiders and was curious why the spiders ate their mother. I was like, so he's autistic, and he has a special like interest. Why didn't you just say that?
Yeah. That's okay. I in the Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough last night, I got to play the quite possibly one of the most disturbing missions, side missions, I guess. It's somebody by the name of Josiah something or rather. I don't remember the guy's name. But basically, it's this really old man who's like, oh, I wasn't supposed to have this life. My life was supposed to be different. I was something. They took it all away from me. Can you go get my shit from over here? It's like, okay. And then as you're going through your stuff, you find out the life that he was so proud of was being a guy, basically a bounty hunter that went and collected escaped slaves before the Civil War, and he was bitching about the Civil War having stolen his life away from him. It's like, oh yeah. And it was kind of funny because somebody came in right as I was turning in the quest, and he's like, the person was like, oh, it's so sad that man's life is so hard. It's like, no, it really isn't. It's and I gave him the lowdown on it. They're like, oh no, never mind. He's a piece of shit. It's like, yeah.
Good history lesson there.
Yeah, it's like,
Yes, everything always looks sad in hindsight until you actually dig.
yeah, it's like that's the thing that gets me with that area that we're in. It's like, yeah, it's, oh man, the whole, oh well, it's the Deep South, just within a few decades after the Civil War. Nobody's happy about it. It's like, yeah, it's nasty. Yeah, I do like that game. It's like, yeah, there's some questionable
Fucked
stuff.
up shit.
Yeah, to put it lightly. To put it politely, yeah. It's yeah, there's a lot of just like, oh hey, so this happened and this, and it's like, yeah, things US has a complicated history.
Yeah.
We're such a proud people. We have no reason to be.
Right? It's like, It's like, well, we there's some things to be proud of, but it's like, yeah, we do. It wasn't all sunshine and roses, that's for damn sure. And they really do capture that. It's like, well, that's like, I finally decided to do the research on the Pinkertons. And
Oh, the actual Pinkertons?
yes, and oh my god.
Yeah, they were some motherfuckers.
Yeah. Like, I wasn't expecting them to be like, oh, great people or anything, but it's like, oh, holy shit. No, they were basically union busters. It's like, well, that's fun.
Rail has returned to his sacred vessel. You mean his body?
And the thing that gets me with the Pinkertons is they're still at it today. Just
Oh,
The
yeah,
detective organization.
yeah.
Yeah, they just pretend not to be.
They changed their name because the name Pinkerton was associated with union busting and all this stuff. But no, they were the ones that Amazon hired in 2020 when so many of their
Why does that not surprise me in the least?
Yeah. When so many of their warehouses were trying to unionize, they hired they basically hired the modern day Pinkertons, or the organization the Pinkertons became, to go in and get dirt on all of these people. It's like, oh, that's lovely.
Oh, and they were probably just tickled as same shade as their name.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Finally, we're back to what we were.
I mean, I don't think they've ever really changed that much. They've always been always been a bunch of dicks.
I mean, and it's sad because games like BioShock use Pinkerton and make you kind of think that they were cool. And then you realize, no, that's just because you're playing the game without context.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not play the game, but watched my roommate play it at the time and got the impression that he's extremely ashamed of being or having been a Pinkerton. But maybe I was just, again, watching without complete context from the game.
Yeah, and that's it. It's without context, it seems really cool. But then, yeah, you play the game and you realize Booker does not like being a Pinkerton. Then you actually read up on the Pinkertons. You're like, oh, okay.
You can understand why he doesn't like it. I just assumed it was in his past. I didn't know he still was one.
Well, it's because of the whole multiverse thing, the whole point of the game. He may be a Pinkerton, he may not be a Pinkerton, he may never have been a Pinkerton, but he is a Pinkerton. He is and is not all at once.
Schrodinger's personal life.
Okay, so getting into the actual topic of tonight. This actually came up when I was kind of playing through the first bit of Arkham Asylum again. And when Batman is bringing the Joker in, and he's like, so, the alarm goes off, and I'm like, well, it's not on the prisoner, it's on Batman. And Joker's like, oh, what do you got? Batarang, bat this, bat snacks? And I got to thinking, it's like, why doesn't, you would think that Batman would have to have a serious stack of snacks.
Well, yeah.
And I got to thinking, it's like, I don't, so I'm like, okay, so how much does Batman, how many calories and stuff does Batman burn? So going based on, I went ahead and looked it up based on the Arkham Knight. Being 6'2", 210 pounds, and 42 years old, he would need about 2,034 calories just to maintain his body mass. Looking up DC actually released his diet. The man eats about 2,467 calories per day.
Which, given his extreme activities...
Yeah. his extreme activities based on just doing 1 or 2 hours of exercise a day, he'd be burning somewhere between 3,800 to 4,600 calories. And that's just with 1 or 2 hours of exercise. And he supposedly does 2 or 3 per day before going out. So it's like, yeah, basically he's looking at another 1,000 calories per hour of exercise. It's like, you look at like I said, like the Arkham series, where it's like, oh yeah, he's going like the whole night, just running around like a madman the whole damn night. And it's like, by the time he gets out, he should be damn near ready to faint. It's like, he should not be able, he should not really be able to do what he does. It's like, he should get in the first fight, or, you know, within the first hour or so of running around and stuff, he should be passing out. Which would be really embarrassing, wouldn't it? It's like, not even facing off against one of your big-time enemies, but just like a group of random, like, muggers or something. You're like, I'm Batman. Thunk. And it just face plants in the pavement. They're just...
Isn't it like the whole plot of Year One, though, is how bad he fucked up half the time?
Probably. I think so. It was kind of him, you know, yeah, kind of coming to terms with stuff, but it's like, yeah, it's like, I can't help but wonder if it's like, if somebody's like, if like Gordon has like somebody following him around, and every time Batman passes out, it's like, all right, go in, knock these muggers out, tie them up with, you know, here, we've got tons of batarangs that we've collected over the years. Just spread some of them around and put them back in the Batmobile, and just, yeah, we'll yeah. And you know, so Batman wakes up and it's just like, oh, I beat them.
See, Bruce has to have a lot of calories, but then you get Dick and Tim, both who have acrobatic backgrounds. Let's not even get into Damian, Cassandra, and Jason.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what, I think, isn't Dick Grayson like the most acrobatic person on of the Bat team?
Well, that's because he was born and raised as an acrobat.
They said he's the world's greatest acrobat, I think. Same way Batman's the world's greatest detective.
Yeah. He was part of the Flying Graysons.
But yeah, and that's one of those things that kind of has led some people to be like, wait, so is Batman actually a metahuman? And it would make sense, because it's like, no regular human being would be able to do the shit that he does on such a basic diet. Either that, or like Wayne Tech developed Lemnis bread or something like that.
Well, remember, Bruce isn't just a good human, he's the peak of human performance.
He did beat Captain America in a fight, so make your super soldier jokes here.
Yeah, but even being like the peak human, the pinnacle of human evolution, it's like, it would still, you know, you still need material to, you know, for your body to do the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got, I don't know, glands that are hyperactive. Maybe Thomas Wayne did medical experiments on his kid. Who knows?
I mean, you look at the Flash, for example. The Flash, you know, excessive metabolism. If he doesn't eat on a regular basis, yeah, he faints. He will just pass the fuck out.
I'm having this horrible idea of Flash begins eating his opponents like a evil version of Pac-Man.
I mean,
Which is to say Pac-Man.
Wouldn't that just be Zombie Flash?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, it's just, yeah, there's, I mean, I could see Bruce Wayne being like, okay, I need some source of energy, and having worked with the Flash and the Justice League and stuff, it's like, okay, developing special nutrient-packed, like, little snack cakes or something.
The Bat Cupcake.
The Bat Cupcake. I like it. It's like just the bat, like I said, just like a bat cake or something like that. Almost like lambda spread, just like this little disc that, hey, it'll provide, 1,000 or 2,000 calories worth of food in a short, in a compact little disc.
I mean, the thing I hate is that every time they ask things like that, they always wave it away with his League of Shadows bullshit.
Yeah, it's like that doesn't... Now, Ra's al Ghul, maybe. I mean, I could see Ra's al Ghul being like, yeah, okay, it is, it's part of the, it's part of the demon's blood or whatever. It's like, okay.
Well, that's why I was saying let's not get into Jason, is because every now and again they keep saying that an effect of being rejuvenated in a Lazarus pit is that your metabolism goes haywire for years and you have to eat like 4 times the amount that a normal human does.
I've met a person who literally did have to eat 15,000 calories per day, and bloody hell was he skinny.
Yeah, that's just... Ooh.
Stories from Anime Central.
I mean, it's like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, if they had like doubled or tripled what he eats in a day. And when I was figuring it out, I gave him the benefit of the doubt as far as like, oh, hey, the steak, an 8-ounce steak with a cup of steamed vegetables and, and everything. It's like, yeah, okay. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and up the, the amounts of some of this stuff, because it would be reasonable that he would, yeah, he would eat more than just what a normal person would eat. But it's like, at the same time, it's like you never see him sitting down, I mean, outside of like Lego Batman. Lego Batman actually, I think, had it right. When he's like, okay, cooks a lobster, and then he's cooking like 4 more lobsters all at once. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Did we ever think that Poison Ivy would be the easiest one?
Well, see, now her being, more plant-driven, yeah, I mean, she would be, yeah, she actually would be pretty easy, wouldn't it?
Although there is still the question of how the hell does she manage to photosynthesize in Gotham?
I mean, a lot of human DNA is strange in that if you change one little bit of our sequence, we can synthesize our own ascorbic acid, i.e. vitamin C. I don't see any reason that Ivy wouldn't have flipped more switches. But what that drain would be on her metabolism, and is she literally getting calories from the soil? Who knows?
Well, yeah, from the soil or from the sun, or how...
Yeah, that's my point, is if she's getting it from the sun, she's definitely not getting it from a natural sun, because Gotham has no natural sun.
Right? Every time you see it, it's just dark and grim and just, They have no use for the sun.
They sent the sun to Bloodhaven.
I mean, I could see that.
They made us lose
But yeah, I mean, well, I mean, you know, actually, the whole idea of getting nutrients and stuff from the sun, I mean, how far would that go as far as Superman?
I mean, Superman is explicitly powered by a yellow sun, so
Yeah, it's like that certain wave of radiation is what gives him his power. So it's like, I mean, technically you could make the argument that yeah, he is fed by, you know, he is basically fed by the sun.
you know, this brings up an interesting point that we could go into AUs and realize that communist Batman had to eat even more than regular Batman.
Why?
Because he was in the middle of Cold War Russia. Food was not exactly, like, the best right then.
True. I mean, he would still have to eat. He would still have to eat roughly the same amount. He would just have a much harder time finding it. And
Yeah, that's what I meant, was, like, more often.
Finding it in an ethical source would be difficult.
Yeah, but Red Sun Batman wasn't ethical.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So technically, you know, technically it wouldn't be. He wouldn't have that much of a problem. He didn't have to deal with his morals of any morals of any sort. So it's like, yeah, all right. Oh, I have to steal I have to steal all of these. I have to steal an entire family's potatoes. Okay. Whereas, you know, the regular Batman would be like, oh no, I can't steal. I can't steal. But I need to eat. I'm starving. I'm going to start losing.
Normal Bruce Wayne goes undercover as a hobo on the weekends, so
Yeah, but it's not like he goes in order to, because hey, I need food and I can't afford it, or I can't, you know, I'm having trouble finding any food.
no, but he would definitely know how to.
He would know how to, but it's one of those, it's kind of it's a question of ethics. It's how would he deal with the idea of, you know, of what am I trying to say here? How would he deal with the idea of, hey, I will have to steal somebody else's food in order to eat. In order to survive, I have to steal somebody else's food. That's what I mean as far as the ethical question of, would he be able and willing to?
I mean,
I don't think regular universe Batman would be okay with taking food away from an innocent person so that he could survive.
I think you're right. I mean, that means some sort of rations. Possibly something similar to protein bars.
Yeah.
And, you know, good gods, it's hard as hell finding a good one, so he probably has his own made for him. Something by Wayne Tech that gets marketed as well.
Yeah. But you put him in a situation where he's in a communist country, in a communist regime, so he doesn't have his massive wealth. He wouldn't have his massive wealth. He wouldn't have his giant company that he runs.
Yeah, I forgot how they did Red Sun Batman. I think Martha and Thomas were loyalists. So like he was just taken care of by the government.
I mean, I would almost expect him to be like part of the regime. Kind of like Cold War KGB agents, high rank, you know, middle to high ranking KGB agents lived in a lap of relative luxury.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, that was the biggest, the biggest problem, especially with the with the USSR, was the idea in general. But when you toss in the fact that everybody who came to power was corrupt as hell, so it was like, oh no, you cannot have you can't have good coffee. You have to deal with crap coffee. Unless you're me, in which case, we got the good shit. We got the premium coffees.
I am really tired of hearing the word coffee, honestly.
What's
Getting
wrong?
emails all week, every day, 3 in the morning. Hey, we need coffee.
Who is emailing you for coffee?
One of my coworkers. And the best part is, there are 3 cans of coffee in my office, which is locked during the day, but I know she's going in there because I'm not there, and suddenly I walk in, and my office is wide open. She's like, so obviously you're going in my office. You see the coffee. Why are you still emailing me that we need coffee?
Yeah.
Deniability.
That's just weird.
I mean, hell, if they were really that desperate, we got 17 cases of decaf.
There's only so desperate a person can get.
I mean, yeah, it's like, we need coffee. Okay. How much coffee? How much coffee did I mean? It's like, okay, how much coffee do you need? Are we talking like you need like a pallet of coffee, or like you need somebody to go get you one of the big tubs of Folgers from a fucking store?
Well, that's what the thing. We have the 3 tubs of Folgers. So it's like, we have coffee. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, at that point, it's like, somebody somewhere should be like, okay, if you, for some weird-ass reason, run out of coffee, and you can't get to you can't get into the supply closet, you can't, whatever, I mean, give somebody $10 and go to the fucking store. It's not that, it's like, yeah, that's the type of thing that it's like, why would that ever be such a big deal? It's like,
Well, I mean, we're also talking about the same person. The sugar is also kept in my office. She is well aware of where the sugar is, and again, can get to it at any point. But the moment that our bucket of sugar is empty, she emails me, and she's like, hey, you need to, like, fill the bucket. Okay, I'm not in to work for another 6 hours. Why can't you fill the bucket?
yeah. Oh. People are fucking weird.
No, I love how everyone's like, well, it's not my job. You're the kitchen manager. Yeah, and I'm not on shift for another 6 hours. So who does my job when I'm not there?
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like, look, if the person who usually does this isn't there, somebody else obviously is going to have to do it. It's like, if you are that worried about it, if you are getting that many complaints, fucking do it. I mean, I've done the whole, oh, that's not part of my job thing of before at jobs, but that's like, oh, hey, that was like at Walmart when they were wanting us in the lawn and garden center to sell bicycles. Oh, you have to push you have to push the warranty or the protection plan, but we're not going to tell you anything about the protection plan. You just have to push it. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to sell something that I have no idea,
Right.
Tell them to attach a shovel to the back of the bicycle and till their fields. I've got nothing.
I mean, they do that a lot. They'll be like, upsell this product. I'm like, how am I supposed to upsell it when I never even get the larger size? Can't sell what you don't have faith in.
Well, I mean, technically, you're right. But yeah, it's. So
I mean, it's the same rule as like if you're going to go to a restaurant and you notice that the chef isn't eating, that you probably don't want to eat there.
In general, I would agree. In general, I would agree. I say in general because, I mean, I know some people that have, they've worked at a restaurant, but they don't, they for one reason or another they don't like what that restaurant serves.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm talking about like if they're the ones making it and they're not eating it, they're just like, yeah, no.
I mean, well, again, it's one of those things where it's like if somebody's making sushi, if somebody's working at a sushi restaurant but they don't like sushi, they're not going to eat there. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just not what they. It's just not what they. It's just not what they like.
I worked in pizza for years. As you can guess, I got a little sick of pizza at times.
I mean, true. I mean, there are times I cook things that I don't eat, but I'm just like, yeah, well, they're gonna eat it, so let's do that.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. It's like, yeah, this is not necessarily for you. This is for somebody else.
But then again, I was making the generalization. I don't mean like if they're not eating one or two things. I mean if they don't ever eat their own cooking, just avoid it.
Well, yeah, that would raise questions as far as like, well, if somebody's like a vegan working at a steakhouse, I mean, there's a few questions that I would have there as far as why it's you can't really claim ethical, oh well, it's unethical to eat meat and then work at a fucking work at a steakhouse. Now, if it's somebody who can't eat red meat and they work at a steakhouse, I could kind of understand that.
What kind of school lunches do you think Bruce Wayne packs his kids?
Wait, what?
Like Damien, you mean?
Yeah.
I would, assuming we're at some point in the timeline where Damien will actually stay with Bruce, and he would. Wait! I just realized Bruce doesn't. It's Alfred, so now we have to transfer the question.
I was gonna say, it's like, do you really think that Bruce fucking Wayne is packing anybody's lunch?
He's packing Damien's, if only so that he could get Damien's approval.
If Alfred was not an option, and there have been points where Alfred has been dead, then yes, Bruce would probably do it himself. And this is one of those things I think Bruce would fuck up ridiculously in one way or another. It would either be geared entirely towards something Damien would like, or something he thinks Damien would like, or something that Batman is correct that is best for Damien, but Damien says needs more blood of my enemies.
Hello there,
True.
Firewater. As far as your question, a long time ago.
I mean, I'll admit, I know you smoke, and it still kind of throws me.
I don't know why.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't see you do it often.
I can see that. It's not like, it's not like I just sit here and chain smoke or anything like that. Yeah, as far as I think I Honestly, I think Bruce Wayne would probably pack. It would probably be like, bottles of smoothies, honestly.
I could see that.
Because that's one of the other things that they've said as far as Bruce Wayne several times is most of his meals are blended into smoothies. Simply because that's a more efficient way of absorbing nutrients.
But see, then we get into the whole thing, like, okay. On the one hand, this is Bruce Wayne we're talking about. He is intelligent, he knows what he's doing, and he would probably pack a proper nutritious lunch. On the other hand, if they are doing it for appearances, because this is public school, it's not Bruce Wayne we're worrying about. We're worrying about Brucey Wayne. He would have to screw something up.
He would I still think he would probably make it like the super nutritious type idea. Mostly because it's like, no, you're my son, you're gonna take care of yourself. I see you as another one of basically another one of my proteges. You have to be taught how to eat properly, how to train properly. You need to be taught how to do everything
And
properly.
that's what I'm saying. That's Bruce Wayne. But if we're doing it for appearances, it's Brucey in control. The billionaire playboy. So he would have to, like, send Damian with, like, a whole ass lobster at some point.
Like I said, it depends on which version of which version we're talking about. Are we talking about the one that says, hey, I don't want to take the time to chew my food thoroughly, so blend it up so that it's already liquefied and my body can absorb it faster? If we're talking that one, I would still say he would send him with smoothies. They'd probably be more on the sweeter side, at least at first, but it would be, it would still be, look, Bruce, even Bruce Wayne, just as Bruce Wayne, would still, will still, like, put up appearances, but but a lot of those appearances are kind of bullshit. Like, he'll eat a burger every once in a while, sure. He'll pretend to drink alcohol. He doesn't actually drink alcohol. He generally, it's more, it tends to be more of a, oh, well, it's not actually beer, it's ginger ale or something like that. Something that people are going to look at it and assume that it's a beer, but it's not really, type of thing.
I just realized something. We're talking what he would send Damian to school with, correct?
Yeah.
He wouldn't send Damian to a school. Damian would be a risk to the other children. He gets tutored at home, which means Alfred's cooking for him regardless. Which one Alfred is going, I cannot cook a proper meal for Master Bruce because he won't sit down and eat it with a fork and knife without putting it through a ninja blender. You will suffer my culinary wrath and enjoy the sumptuous banquet I have prepared.
That is a good point, though, as far as, like, why would he send him to a public school?
Easy. It's for a case.
Well, at that point, it's one of those, well, it might be a proper meal, but again, if they know that it's Bruce Wayne, it's gonna be something nutritious and probably very expensive. Because, again, it's keeping the same idea of keeping up appearances. You want to keep up that appearance of being very wealthy and having the best stuff and splurging.
Unless he's not supposed to let anyone know he's Bruce Wayne's kid. In which case, John Smith, you're eating the cafeteria food.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, that's I think that would be, yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how Talia al Ghul managed to raise a son that actually has empathy for any living creature, let alone every animal on Earth.
That's a good question.
I assume by the contrast. A person is more likely to be an asshole than an animal.
Well, I could see that. Of course, we're also assuming that, you know, Damien isn't the typical the typical child that is like, oh, you want me just to kill indiscriminately? All right, well, I'll kill all humans indiscriminately, but animals, get fucked, mom.
Honestly? Yeah.
Like, just to spite her, just be like, oh, you want me to do this? No, I don't think so.
I mean, at this point, he does everything despite Talia. But then again, having an evil clone of you that, you know, is mommy's favorite tends to do that.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's...
Oh, Bat family. The in-laws are atrocious.
You feel like that'd be the one person where Bruce would look at Jason and be like, so remember everything I taught you about not killing? Doesn't apply to Rosh. He's just gonna come back anyways.
See also Solomon Grundy.
And of course Jason would be like, oh, wait, so you won't let me kill Joker, who comes back from everything, but you'll let me kill Raish? Yeah, no. At this point, I'm going back on my killing just to spite you.
Honestly, I could see that, yeah.
Turning Jason Todd merciful out of spite? My gods, behold the healing power of hate here.
That's what I love about the fandom. They were all like, oh, Jason could be so happy and so caring. I was like, do you forget we're talking about Jason Todd here?
The persons that DC's readership voted to kill.
Yeah.
If anyone gets to torture the reader base, it's Jason Todd.
Personally, I find that hilarious. Everyone's like, oh, Jason didn't deserve to die. I'm like, did you forget that he died in a reader poll?
Yeah.
No, he didn't deserve it. You literally told DC to kill him. Besides, according to whichever, I don't remember which biography of Jason we're on, Jason was the only Robin with balls enough to actually rip off Batman.
You mean by breaking into the Batmobile?
And stealing all the tires. I was like, that's not Bruce Wayne. He's not just some thug that broke into Wayne Manor and was stealing shit. He mugged Batman. And then when Batman threatened him and told him that he was going to get him arrested, he hit him with a tire iron. That's balls, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to file that next to, you're confronted with Dracula. He's going to bite you. Quick, bite him first. Why? I don't know, it'll confuse him.
And that's pretty much it. Is like, apparently that was the first time Bruce had laughed on patrol for a while. And then he's like, I like that kid. I'm going to make him Robin.
I like that kid. I'm going to put his life in mortal danger.
Well, I mean, he found out that he didn't have anything else going for him, which should have been obvious, because if you're desperate enough to, again, steal the tires from Batman...
Yeah, I mean...
It's like, do you have a life? Do you have a good home life?
Considering how Jason Todd did die in the comics, I'm going to assume no. Because it wasn't just the Joker killed him, it was that his mom betrayed him to the Joker.
Oh yeah, which is why he was out stealing the Batmobile's tires. Everything in Batman comes back to a severe lack of parental guidance or just severe mommy issues.
Yeah. So, all right, how many of you have heard about the general way the DCEU is going now?
I'm not sure.
We're just talking the comics at the moment?
No, I am talking the cinematic universe.
Okay.
Apparently, now that James Gunn has taken over, he is kind of looking at basically doing a hard reboot of everything.
And possibly releasing a couple of movies that, say, were completely done and then suddenly shelved?
I don't know about that.
I mean, it would be nice to have at least one decent DC movie.
I liked Wonder Woman, and I liked Aquaman.
Okay, I'll give you Wonder Woman and Aquaman. I'm talking about, like, they keep hyping up the newest Batman and all of that. And it was like, okay,
I
but
still
it
need
never
to see
lives
it.
up to it.
Yeah, it sounds like what he's going for is a very strong reboot. Now, a lot of people are assuming that, well, when he says he's rebooting everything, that means that everything that, you know, all the people that were there are going to be cast aside. And I don't think James Gunn is... He's smarter than that.
Looking at James Gunn's work with Marvel, no, he would use them.
Exactly. It's like, you know, okay, so Justice League 2, probably not going to happen. However, it's one of those things where it's like, that doesn't mean that, hey, Henry Cavill is done as Superman. I don't think he is. It just, I mean, that...
Especially considering he gave up The Witcher.
Yeah.
Which I know isn't just that, but...
I mean, but that was, yeah, that was... He gave up The Witcher to come back as Superman. He wants to do more Superman. And it's like, okay, that's, you know, I mean, you can reboot everything and still keep Henry Cavill as Superman. There's
This is our ultra nerd, the man who almost missed an audition because he was in the middle of a WoW raid.
But I guess, yeah, there's talk of, okay, a lot of the planned stuff that they had is just, yeah, they're tossing it and just doing a full on just, no, we're starting fresh. And honestly, I think it would be better. I think that's a better choice especially for Gunn. Because it's like, he's not the type to try and do, you know, to try and do like pull a J.J. Abrams and like take over somebody else's work and find some way of fixing it. It's like, no. Why fix something that people are disliking in general to begin with? Why am I going to try, you know, why am I not going to just start over and do my own thing? I mean, we know he can do a lot of really great stuff. Look at Guardians of the Galaxy. That was, you know, he took something that honestly most people I think would have looked at it and been like, oh, what the hell? No, what the fuck is this nonsense?
Yeah.
And he actually turned out something good.
A few somethings good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I said, it's just everybody seems to be worrying about it and freaking out like crazy. And it's like, look, just take a breath, relax, realize that, yeah, if he reboots everything, that doesn't mean that all of the stuff that you love are just gone. Hey gamers, all right. Yeah, come on in whenever you are able. But yeah, like I said, I think starting fresh is probably the best idea for the DCEU, because it's like that is just a fucking it's a mess. I mean, you literally have somebody who is playing Flash who just keeps getting into trouble. It's like, ugh.
Oh, Ezra.
We don't talk about Ezra. I haven't seen that movie. So.
I mean, yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those things with Ezra. It's like, yeah, you're just. I mean,
And it makes no sense either. I mean, they had a decent career and everything. Like, nothing seemed to be wrong, and then just suddenly they freak out.
yeah, it's like, look, you have to get like 2 or 3 amazing movies under your belt before you go fucking ape shit and just.
Right. Alec Baldwin had a 17-year career before he wrecked a hotel room, and then it was another, 25, 30 before he shot somebody?
Call it, they drew Barrymore too soon.
Yeah. Like, look, we get it. You want to be one of the edgy people, but you just went full-on Russell Crowe, and you don't have the cred for that.
Yeah.
No. I'm afraid that's a step beyond the Russell Crowe. That was the Jared Leto.
Did he get into Jared territory, though?
No, he's more in the Russell Crowe territory, I think.
Okay,
he's getting into fight. I mean, Ezra's getting into fights.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is they're freaking out and they're getting into fights. And they like to say that they're being discriminated against and blah, blah, blah. But they're not really doing anything creepy and inappropriate like Leto, so...
Yeah. And
I'm putting in Russell Crowe territory.
Yeah, Russell Crowe was very famous for, was mostly dragged down because he liked to get into fights. He'd get drunk and he'd get into fights.
Yep.
That was his style.
And besides, we can't, veer straight into Leto territory. I think before you get to Leto territory, you gotta take a detour through Gibson territory.
I don't know. I don't see the Gibson territory as being really necessary. I mean, it doesn't hurt to go Gibson's route first, but the whole, the whole anti-Semitic bullshit, I don't think that's really necessary. I mean
necessarily specifically the anti-Semitism. I'm just saying, do something really stupid, make a couple remarks, defend yourself vehemently for a few years.
I don't know. I don't think you have to do that in order to get to the Leto level.
Actually, if you do that, can you even get to Leto territory? Because he seems to do what he does without any shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's doing it because of any deep-seated opinions towards anybody. He's just doing it because he likes to be I mean, honestly, I think that's where Ezra Miller is going. I mean, look at Leto. Leto is I want to be edgy. I'm going to be super edgy and super fucking creepy.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a line from Interview with the Vampire. And the main character says, yes, that my parents died and my sister started going insane and eccentric. He says, no, that's a lie. It's not that she went insane and eccentric. It's that she thought that's what society expected her to do, so she just followed suit.
Yeah. That's
About the square of it.
yeah.
I'm probably butchering the line, so let's just call it a paraphrasing. But yeah,
Yeah. But yeah,
You know what? Let's not even worry about what the actual line was.
yeah,
I know. I'm an
that's-
editor. I kind of have to worry. It's
That's-
my nature.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a writer, so
We must worry.
maybe that's it. Is you're the editor, so you have to worry about what I wrote. I'm the writer. I don't give a shit. Did it sound
Almost
good
being
at
a
the time?
nutshell.
It's like, did it sound good at the time? Yes. Does it sound good the 8th time? No. Am I going to change it? Still no.
But yeah, like I said, it really does feel like Ezra is kind of being like that they almost to me it really does feel like they are kind of like that I'm a movie star. It's like, dude, you haven't even had a successful solo movie yet.
Yeah, I mean,
calm the shit down.
all of their quote unquote starring roles have been on ensemble casts. So
exactly. So it's like, yeah, okay, but no, kind of, but no, not really. It's like just cool your heels, get a few specifically starring roles, and then maybe you can, then you can really kind of go into it and say, oh, hey, I'm a star.
I mean, it's not like Hollywood hasn't proven that it's willing to overlook a lot of shit once you get famous enough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, again, we've already mentioned him, but hell, Mel Gibson still has a fucking career somehow.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
Well, Mel Gibson did have a lot of help. He did have friends who were like, I think it's been long enough. And one of those was extremely influential. I think that was Robin Williams that used his phrase, hugging the cactus.
It's just, yeah, it's.
But then again, you know, you get old Hollywood and like Frank Sinatra.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Frank Sinatra, hell, just look at pretty much any of the Brat Pack.
And the scandals of individuals like, say, Errol Flynn.
You know what? I have never actually heard any scandals about Errol Flynn, but then again, I haven't really studied Errol Flynn.
That's fair. Then let me go with the scandals that no one cared about of Adam West.
I mean, Adam West and Burt Ward.
Yeah, but Adam West, of all people, turned up to a little shindig with Frank Gorshin, and they were kicked out because they wouldn't get out of character. And by shindig, I mean orgy.
Well, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
I have to wonder what was in the utility belt.
Condoms, of course.
And lube. Don't forget lube.
Oh my god. Please tell me at least one of them was spermicidal and they called it the Bat Baby Repellent.
I was thinking more. I was thinking more along the lines of Backglide, but yeah, it's like it's just. Ooh. I mean, you know, I appreciate Adam West, but yeah, dude was a few bottles short.
I don't know.
I
can
think he had a few bottles too many.
I can appreciate that honesty in your lifestyle and that complete lack of shame.
I mean, lack of shame. Shame is one of those kind of questionable things. It's like, okay,
It is.
yeah. What
do you
should
need
you
the
be
shame
ashamed
for?
of? Yes, exactly. It's like, why do people think you should be ashamed?
Then let's say shame with different priorities.
All right, I suppose I could agree with that.
Fuck this shit. I'm not running all the way back to the city. I am going to surfboard back to the city.
Okay.
Only in Warframe.
Okay, technically it's a hoverboard, but I don't give a shit. Also, I don't like the fact that you can't really do anything while you're on your K drive. You get a pistol, and you're supposed to hit somebody going almost terminal velocity with any amount of accuracy.
Well, you just gotta wait till you're really close.
Apparently.
I mean, when you're really close, it's really hard to miss.
I mean, I'm sitting here like, okay, so I have a shotgun, 2 pistols, and 3 swords, and you want me to use a pistol to swing it or to aim at somebody while I'm using this? Why can't I just hold out the swords and use the speed? Because that would make sense.
Yeah. See, most games would be like, okay, in a situation like that, it's like your character has like hyper focus or something like that, so that, you know, they can essentially slow down time.
Yep, nope. Only if you have the right Warframe.
Let's see, there you go.
But what's worse is that the frame that I'm playing is Excalibur, who is based around swords.
Yeah, forcing you to use a gun at that point, it's like that's not right. Though I will say that I've seen a lot of that bizarreness as far as like in Red Dead Redemption 2 as well. Like right now I'm kind of working through like being a marksman or a sharpshooter, going through all the challenges of that. The current challenge that I have is I have to kill somebody from 80 feet away or more with a tomahawk. What that has to do with being a sharpshooter, I have no idea, but
It proves that you can aim? I don't know.
I'm suddenly reminded of. This is a little odd, but do we all remember Jackie Chan's movie City Hunter?
Vaguely.
He's basically. He's doing martial arts throughout the movie, right? Because Jackie Chan.
Fair enough.
Surprise, surprise, right. Okay. The character he's based on isn't so much a martial arts person as a gun person. And he's an expert with the gun in the anime and the manga from Japan. So they bring it to China, they make it live action, they take out the guns and make the whole thing about martial arts.
Okay.
I'm like, that's kind of the impression I'm getting here.
Seems reasonable so far.
Yeah.
And that's all I had. People jump the shark with IPs by turning them into something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's one of those things where it's like I can understand the point of, using a tomahawk in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's like, okay, fine, but why, the whole, oh, you have to use it from 80 feet away in order to prove that you're a sharpshooter. It's like, yeah, that's it's very, using throwing a tomahawk and shooting a gun, two very different things. Very different things. But then there's a lot of just like bizarre ass challenges. Like in order to prove that you're a really good horseman, you have to you have to drag somebody 300 feet on your horse, and it's like, why? Because it takes a lot of skill to drag somebody. It's like, not really. It's like you just
Maybe it's more to prove that you can, keep from pissing off a horse dragging that much weight behind him for that long.
Possibly. Although I'm not sure if you have to keep them alive or not. You might have to keep them alive, which that would definitely increase the challenge. Because people will die super easy in this game. Like, I think I tried it one time and it was like, I think I got like maybe 20 feet and it's like, nope, person's dead, doesn't count anymore.
Funny you should say that, as I'm on my way to kill a corpse.
But if you kill a corpse, does the person come back to life?
No. See, that's one of mine and Barry's like running gags, is that this game loves to tease you of pretty much everything.
Okay.
So this fight is a boss fight that allegedly would get you a new warframe, and when you look at it, the frame's right there. It's chained to a wall. It's completely intact. There's nothing stopping you from just claiming it, except for the fact that it's possessed by the ghost of its former owner. And then you exorcise that ghost and murder his corpse, and they're like, yay, you can have the warframe. And then it just turns into dust.
Fun.
So it's like, it's one of those.
See, I remember, I just thought of one of the old World of Warcraft problems that they had way, way, way back in the day, where if you died and you released your spirit, you're running back to your corpse, it would not let you back into your body unless you drowned yourself.
Was that in the beta? Or?
I think it was in like the early release, like one of the, like I said, like shortly after it was released. This was kind of an issue. I remember quite a few people complaining about it, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, well, no, that makes sense. If you die in your body, you become a ghost. If you die as a ghost, where else are you gonna go? You're gonna go back to your body. It makes perfect sense to me. The number of dirty looks that I got when I pointed that out, and they're like, they tried to argue, and I'm like, it's like, and then just, nope, nothing. Just generally just walk away shaking their head. I'm like, sorry, It's kind of twisted logic, but it is logic. I'm kind of surprised that I haven't heard anything from Gamers Grotto as far as making him a work bot, basically.
I think at this point he's just accepted his place with us.
I mean, it's
He
not.
understands. We're just going to make fun of him no matter what.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a work bot. I mean, at least he doesn't have the maple leaf on him anymore.
This is true.
It's a step up in somebody's book.
I can't believe we both just went straight for him during the last Red Dead. All it took was the mention of an accent. We're like, where's Captain Maple Syrup?
I still say that was more of an Irish or Scottish accent.
It sounded more Minnesotan to me. I don't know. It was just something the way she said some of those words.
I mean, that's fair, but it's like, yeah, it's.
I think they were going for Irish because, you and I both picked up on the same phrases. But just
the
her
jam in
accent.
particular. Like the oh yeah, oh, we got to get the job. Oh, why is he always get the job?
Like, I forgot what it was specifically that she said. I think it was something like, I was like, wait, that accent is so weird.
Yeah. But no, it's like, it's everybody's like, oh, nobody knows what they're saying. It's like, fucking why? It's seriously, it's a very understandable accent. It's like most of their words and stuff that they're kind of like, oh, hey, this. And it's like, yeah, okay. So what? Then again, we are dealing with basically, with pretty much lifelong outlaws that are, well, they're stupid.
And the way they describe them, they're like, oh, they've been in the woods too long. They do creepy things. They speak their own languages. It's like, I'm getting Sawyer vibes.
And the whole area is just giving me hillbilly vibes. Honestly, it's like, oh, these are true hillbillies. Even the rich families are hillbillies. They're like, I don't want to marry my cousin. It's like,
well, too bad. We're nobles. We have to do that.
well, no, it's not nobles. It's not nobles. It's no, you don't. The only other people that you could marry are the family that we is feuding with. It's like, okay, so they're rich. Basically, they're kind of rich, urban versions of the Hatfield and the McCoys. It's like, all right, yeah, that's pretty normal. It's like my mom was always confused when as far as my grandfather, because my grandfather always said, hey, he got into fights a lot when he was a kid. Like, he got into fights all the time in school. And one of my uncles asked him one time, he's like, why were you fighting so much? He's like, well, they kept calling me a hillbilly. And my mother's like, well, you kind of are. It's like, you kind of were, at least. It's like, you raised in Kentucky and in a log cabin that had a dirt floor. And I'm like, okay, yeah, by modern day standards, yes, he would, his family would be considered hillbillies. But by standards of that time, no. Hillbillies were inbred. They were completely uneducated. It was, yeah, there was a lot more to it than just being raised in the hills in a log cabin. It's like you do, yeah, you very much fight anybody who calls you a hillbilly. But yeah,
yes,
that's,
yes. You have fancy sword work. I'm still gonna shoot you in the ass with a laser.
why in the ass?
Because that's where he keeps ending up when he does his fancy sword moves. It's not my fault he ends up behind me. I try shooting him in the face.
It's just the courteous thing to do. But make sure
Well,
you give
yeah.
him a warning first.
No, actually, I'm usually invisible while my energy's recharging, so I just kind of pop out of nowhere and shoot him in the face with a laser. You know, like a supervillain.
Why does that not surprise me? I mean, I don't know the game. I just know you, so.
Well, the current mission I'm on is the mission that once you exercise said holy body and it turns to ash, you properly meet the affectionately called Wall Daddy.
Okay.
I am already scared.
Who is, of course, the evil counterpart to Space Mom, except that Space Mom later betrays you and everybody hates her, so we're like, oh great, our space parents suck.
If there's one thing media has taught us is space parents do generally just suck.
Yeah, well, you know, like again, like I was telling Ras earlier, everything in this game is powered by a cursed child.
Fun.
If it's even vaguely heroic, chances are there's a cursed child behind it.
See, that's like I said, that's one of those games that I've never played, so it's like I have no frame of reference. But it's like, yeah, sounds as fucked up as most.
Oh, it's absolutely batshit insane because a lot of this is the original game had a clear-cut story, but then as they added on, they forgot to go back and retcon or smooth over some of it. So some of the story just kind of snags itself.
This sounds like something I should try just to put it next to Metal Wolf Chaos.
But yeah, we affectionately call the villain. I mean, he's not really a villain. He's ambiguous at the most. We call him Wall Daddy because his official title in the game is the Man in the Wall. And he likes to call you kiddo and take on the physical aspect of your father.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, most things that are like, oh yeah, Wall Daddy or something like that, for me, most of it's like, nope, just big fat nope.
Well, again, we tried to have Space Mom, but then she's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm an evil robot that's actually trying to kill humanity, so I'm gonna go back over there.
I see, that's generally an unfair description. Is an evil robot. It's like, yeah, can the robot really be evil though?
Okay, so I'm actually stripping this down to like really simple terms, because to describe a sentient is really hard unless you've played the game.
Okay.
So
I
like
mean,
the closest that you can describe them is as robots, because they're actually like, let's go to Warhammer for a second. Think of an Adeptus that just took their craft to the utmost extreme.
All right.
That's pretty much what the sentient are. Is they are just man and machine. They are sentient, but they have no humanity whatsoever, and they want to destroy all organic life.
Necrons, Men of Iron.
Yeah.
So pretty much, you know, it's pretty much a very common theme.
Except for the fact that sentients can, in fact, reproduce sexually, but because they have to cross dimensions to get to the dimension that they want to kill their enemies in, they become barren when they do so. Which naturally just makes them want to kill us harder.
Of course.
Because it's our fault that you came across the void to try and kill us and then couldn't have kids. Right. Okay, so what am I still missing for Apostasy Prologue?
We have gone quite a bit from
Oh, there you
food discussions.
Oh, yeah.
I was just about to wonder. I was just starting to wonder. It's like, okay, I'll be there. I'll be joining in a bit. Okay, how long?
Yeah, I got distracted. A bunch of friends wanted to play Wheel of Fortune, so I'm here at least.
I was beginning to wonder if there was like some weird conversion that was needing to be done from Canadian to American as far as a bit.
No. So how much does Batman eat? That's That's an interesting question.
Well, it was started off because of the one of the Joker's first lines in Arkham Asylum about Batman having bat snacks, and we found out that
yes,
he absolutely should have bat snacks.
yes, I remember that line. What do you got in your utility belt, Batman? Bat snacks? Yes.
And he should have, because
Yeah.
he eats almost 2,500 calories, but just with his normal exercise routine, burns somewhere between 3,800 to 4,600 calories a day.
It makes more sense with the Flash. I don't know. Batman, I never really thought about it. It never crossed my mind what he ate.
DC released his diet.
Oh.
And I put it through MyFitnessPal, giving Batman the benefit of eating the healthy choices and bulking up some of his options and stuff. No, he's eating about 2,500 calories a day.
Jesus. Okay.
But
All right.
just with his exercise, he is burning about 3,800 to 4,600 calories, not counting going out fighting crime for 6 hours each night.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, there you go.
He should have bat snacks, because dude should be like fucking passing the fuck out.
Yeah.
It sucked to find out that that Bruce Wayne is actually anemic.
I still argue that he is actually a metahuman and just doesn't know it.
Which would be hilarious considering Duke.
You're taking a huge undertaking by doing Red Dead Redemption 2. Like that game is so freaking long. I was originally going to stream it myself, and then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, that would be in like 5,000 parts because it's such a long game. See, at least with you're doing like 4-hour intervals or 3-hour intervals.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm doing it like, I'm doing like 3 to 4 hours at a time. So it's like
you kind of have to with a game like that, because that game is damn long. I mean, like, it's up there with Skyrim, I'd say. I mean, not as long as Skyrim, but it's up there.
I don't know. I think the main story is longer.
In Skyrim or in Red Dead?
In Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead 2 is, I think, the story, the actual main storyline is longer, but I think Skyrim has more side quests and random stuff for you to do.
Yeah, I do know that if you're doing all the side quests in Red Dead 2, that's going to take you a long time
Yeah.
because there's a lot of side quests. Now, after you do Red Dead 2 on, were you planning on going into the online portion and covering a little bit of that, or?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't really know if if I don't know if I want to go in and do that or not.
Fair.
Because I'm always I kind of have a love-hate relationship with online stuff in general.
Yeah. Understandable. Yeah, especially when you're dealing with other players who just like randomly, like you're right in the middle of a mission and suddenly a random person just snipes you and it's like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get that. Trust me, I do get that. Yeah, I will say that Red Dead Online is still pretty big. I mean, there's still a lot of people that play it regularly, and they're still releasing these little missions and stuff like that. Not as often as they used to, but there is still stuff. I believe they have like a Christmas thing going on right now in both Red Dead and GTA Online. So there is stuff to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only reason I ever thought about superheroes eating and stuff like that was because of the 90s, mid 90s Flash live action series.
Yeah.
Which had Mark Hamill in it, surprisingly.
Yeah. Also, John Wesley Shipp.
John Wesley Shipp, yep. And there's others as well, but I think Bryan Cranston was even in it. He played a crime boss.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you're gonna say Mark Hamill, as far as Mark Hamill being in the new Flash, John Wesley Shipp is in the new Flash.
Yeah. Yes. I haven't actually watched the new Flash, but I do know that they're both in it. Yeah. He's reprising his role as Trickster.
Yeah, and John Wesley Shipp starts off as Barry's dad, and then is brought in as an alternate universe Flash as far as Jay Garrick.
Interesting.
And they actually do bring it. They actually do bring in the '93 Flash as well for one of their major crossover events.
I didn't see that episode, but I do have John Wesley Shipp on Twitter, and he did tweet the costume, him wearing the costume. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually got a reply to him when I posted something as far as one of the previews that they were doing for it, because they were doing like the slow pan up the body.
Yeah.
But where it starts and what it showed as the preview was his groin. Just full on direct shot of his balls. And I'm like, I really don't think I want to click that. And I tagged him in it, and he's like, I wouldn't either. I'm like, all right. It's like, at least he's got a sense of humor about it.
Oh yeah, no, he does.
Yeah, like I said, it's just like close up of his junk. I'm like, don't.
Yeah, that's interesting to put as a thumbnail for sure. But yeah, so I never really thought about what superheroes eat and stuff like that until I actually watched that series, the '90s live action Flash series, and the one episode where like he's just realizing his powers and everything, and he realizes that when he after he does his giant jaunt with his dog and runs everywhere, and then he gets home and he's like, damn, I'm hungry, and then he just like raids his kitchen, eats everything in his fridge, and he's like, damn, I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
Now I gotta order fast food.
And then he starts, well, much like Bruce Wayne should be, starts passing out from lack of food.
Yeah. That series was really good, and I heard a lot of, so it only lasted for one season, and there's 3 reasons why I think one of them is a rumor more than a reason, but I think there's 3 reasons, quote unquote reasons, why it got canceled. One was poor time slot, which makes sense. Second was it cost way too much per episode to warrant having it continue. Because I read somewhere that it was like they were spending like $1 million per episode just on special effects back in the 90s, and that back then for a TV series was kind of overkill. And then the third reason was because of John Wesley Shipp's sexuality at the time, like because he came out as openly gay way back then, and there was a lot of people in the media that were like, "Oh, we can't have a gay superhero, sorry," and that there was also that and that's the one that's kind of a rumor. I mean, it's not a rumor that he came out as being gay back then. It's the rumor is that that's probably what killed the show, was the fact that all of the media was like, well, no, can't have a gay superhero, sorry. Because back in the 90s, it was like, and nowadays it's different, but back then, not so much.
Which was a shame. I mean, it also depended on what your program was. I'm trying to think of some series back then that I'm not going to say could get away with it, but had the balls to try.
The only one I know of back then was the Ninja Turtles cartoon series, which had what's his name? He was like one of the reporters, Vernon. He was always wearing a pink sweater, and he was overly flamboyant. And it was brought out later on that yes, the character was gay, and they were just kind of sliding it under the radar. But not back then. Not many shows had openly gay characters. Like it just wasn't. It just wasn't a thing. I mean, not even Star Trek. You know, like George Takei, he didn't even he was supposed to play the straight man on Star Trek as Sulu. He didn't even, it was just not a thing.
Well, to be fair, that world was in the 60s, going even further back.
No, I mean, I of course. But I mean, they had the 80s and 90s movies as well, and even then, there was no. Nowadays, it's different. Like, I mean, I think what was it? Star Trek. I can't remember which Star Trek it is, but there's openly gay characters in the new Star Trek stuff.
Yes, you actually do see Sulu's husband, or what?
I don't mean that. I'm talking about the Star Trek, the one before Picard. Oh God, I've never really watched much of it, but there is openly, I think he's like a doctor, an openly gay doctor on the show or something like that.
Are you mean Discovery?
Yes, Discovery. Yes.
I actually haven't seen it.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's two openly gay characters like that are in a relationship with each other on that show, and it's Star Trek's way of being diverse. It's like, wow, yeah, you could have kind of done that earlier. I mean, you had multiple shows where you could have been a bit more diverse, but I'm glad that you're doing it now. But
there was an episode of TNG in the 90s where they addressed, changing your sexual identity, or and it was, if you look back at the episode now, it was very brave for the time.
What episode was that?
Give me a second. I'll be able to.
Is that the one with Lol? Data's.
No. It was one where. Hold on, because I owe you an answer on that.
Yeah, now I'm curious.
It's towards the end of Next Generation. Yes, The Outcast. Episode 117 overall. What season? Season 5. Okay, no, it's not quite really the end of the series, the mid of the series. So, season 5, episode 17.
What was the premise of that?
I can't believe I've started to say spoilers, but this episode came out 30 years ago, so
I don't think spoiler applies anymore.
Yeah, so short version is that the Enterprise is, starting up diplomatic relations with a completely androgynous race, and one member of the race suddenly, identifies as a woman, and Riker strikes up a relationship with her, and she is found to have deviated from the norm. They grab her away, they brainwash her, and say, "Oh," she goes, "Oh, I was mistaken the whole time," and she just seems so soulless when they do it. I take it nowadays as an allegory for someone who is trying to express that they're transitioning gender and is stamped down by society. But at the time, I could see it as an allegory for gay conversion therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I
That's
believe they did have a trans character once. I can't remember.
that episode is interesting
Series it
because in season 3 of the Orville they have an exact episode like that, and so I'm almost wondering if Seth MacFarlane borrowed from that episode of The Next Generation and kind of tweaked it a little bit.
Well,
Because-
now, as far as the Orville, Seth MacFarlane has been very, very open and vocal about thumbing his nose at societal norms, with the and kind of pointing out the problems of it with
Humor. I know.
with Bortus's kid.
Oh yeah, no, and
Season 1.
that's
Yeah.
that's what. So there's an episode in season 3 where it's again with involving Bortus's kid, and it's funny because the actress they got a new actress to play her or him. Was it her? No, it's her. Yeah, they got a new actress to play her.
Well, technically it would be him. That was the whole point of the
it was him, but it is a female actress playing the role, and it's because because it was like supposed to take place. The Orville season 3 is supposed to take place like years later, so she's like 16 in the new season, or something like that. She's really old. She's a lot older than what she was in the previous seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But the episode involved like the same shit again. They're fighting for his rights, and it's just more kind of the same drama of how that race won't accept it and blah blah blah, and then it's up to him to finally step forward and say, like, you know what, let me be in charge of my own life. But it was an interesting episode. I don't know if you ever saw season 3 of the Orville, but it's gotten progressively better since they switched over to I think it's Hulu or something like that they were on for season 3. Hulu gave them a ton of money and they put it all towards special effects. And so season 3 of the Orville is up there with like Star Wars now in terms of special effects. Like they really went overkill with the special effects in season 3.
That's one of the things that I like about Hulu, as versus a lot of these like Netflix. It's like Netflix. It's like, oh hey, if you don't like bring in a shit ton of money right off the bat, you're gonna get canceled. And it's like, but then you've got Hulu that's like, hey, you know what? Hey, we'll fund you for a while. Go for it. Have fun.
True, but at the same time, the Orville was highly successful when they switched over to Hulu. So Hulu didn't really have that many concerns about it because it was like their ratings were already through the roof. They had already done 2 seasons with Fox, and their ratings went higher and higher and higher. The only reason he switched over to Hulu was because Fox wouldn't give him that extra money because he wanted to make the show more action-packed and a lot more flashy. And Fox was like, no, we really don't have the money for that. And so it was like a deal that he had with Fox, and it was like Fox was like, they were fine with him going over to Hulu. They were like, no, we support you no matter what. We're still going to be there if you ever need us.
Well,
but
yeah,
we just
Fox,
can't help you financially.
Fox has a deal with Hulu.
Yeah.
I mean, Hulu is actually owned by a conglomeration of outfits. I think at this point Disney has the majority sharehold, but it's not exclusively Disney.
Yeah.
That's why you get some of you get the Fox shows and stuff like that on there as well.
The other thing with Seth MacFarlane is how humble he is and how kind he is to all of his fans and everything, which I really like, because a lot of actors, once they reach that heightened success, they become kind of assholes. Not all of them, but some of them, quite a lot of them, and Seth is not like that. And as an example, prime example, when Messy Desk Interactive made Stage 9, which was the interactive Star Trek The Next Generation game where you got to live on the Enterprise D and you got to explore the entire ship, every deck, everything. You got to take out shuttlecrafts and explore planets and everything. It's a beautiful game. But CBS told them, nope, sorry, shut this down. And they're like, but we're not making money off this. It's free. It's on our website for people to download. Don't care. Shut it down. We don't want it.
Yeah.
If we see it anywhere in the future, you will be taken to court and we will sue your asses. So then that company of fans went and made an Orville game, which is identical to Stage 9, except you're exploring the Orville ship. And they didn't run it by Seth MacFarlane or Fox or anything, but Seth MacFarlane found out about it because fans were like leaking footage of it on from YouTube onto his Twitter, and so he actually approached the company. And the company talks all about this on their website and everything. He actually approached the company and said, you know what? Not only am I going to allow this, but if Fox or Hulu give you any trouble, you come straight to me. I will deal with them because I want this done.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the things that a lot of people do get wrong about the idea of fair use. It does not matter whether you're making money from it or not. That has absolutely nothing to do with fair use.
Now, I think I understand where CBS was coming from in terms of Stage 9, because if you actually play the game, not only did they use likenesses for Patrick Stewart, Cole Meany, who plays Chief O'Brien, and Brent Spiner, who plays Data. They looked exactly like their characters, and they also used music from the show and sound effects from the show. And even Majel Barrett, who's the voice of the ship's computer, they use her voice in the game as well. So they used all of that, and it's like, well, you don't own the rights to any of that shit.
Here's the problem with making a fan game like that and it getting very popular and stuff like that. As far as as far as Paramount is concerned, if they do something bad, if they put something negative and offensive into it, that's gonna hurt Paramount.
Yeah.
And that's why they're like, no. If it, you didn't come to us, you didn't talk to us, we don't know anything about this. No, this is not cool, guys. And that's a very fair argument.
Kind of the Axanar scenario in a way.
Yeah. No, I get that. Thankfully, it wasn't like that at all. It was just like a complete fan. I still have a copy of Stage 9.
That's the thing, though. It can be a complete fan project, no big deal. But there's no guarantee that they're never going to do something bad. It's a whole. It's potentially liability. Yeah,
it's covering your asses. No, I totally get it. Now the interesting thing with the Orville game is that not only did they get Seth's okay, Seth actually gave them blueprints of the actual ship, and he actually allowed them to visit the set and take photos. Which I'm like, damn, wow! You're not only are you allowing it, but you're like helping them make this even better.
Yeah.
And so they are constantly updating that game. Like it's free, by the way, on Steam if anybody wants to grab it. It's a free download. It constantly gets updates. So far they have a single player mode with a story on the Orville ship. You also have multiplayer mode and an RPG mode where it's less shooter based and more of you're a crew on the ship. You get on the ship with all the rest of these players from all over the world. Role play. And so there's 3 modes to that game. So the single player, the role play mode, and the multiplayer, which is basically first person shooter. But it is a lot of fun, and I do recommend it, especially if people are fans of the Orville. And it's, like I said, it's free. You just go on Steam, look up the Orville, and it's there.
I will say
But,
this: they are damn lucky. They absolutely should be consider themselves very damn lucky that Seth was cool with that.
Yeah.
Because
No,
like,
he-
you would think that after the first time that it's like, you didn't get our permission, we don't approve of this, shut it down. It's like, to just go in and be like, nope, we're not gonna ask permission, fuck them, we're gonna do it anyway. It's like,
Yeah.
that's at that point you're pretty much asking for trouble, really.
Yeah. Well, I think initially, I don't know if they just went in like that. I think initially they asked someone at Fox or something. They were like, okay with it. But it was the icing on the cake when Seth MacFarlane was like, no, I want to see this done.
Yeah.
Because I really think that Seth MacFarlane knew about Stage 9. Because who didn't? I mean, like, so here's the thing. I didn't know about Stage 9 until after it was shut down by CBS. Because then there was like thousands upon thousands of articles about it and saying like, oh yeah, they were showing screenshots of this game, this Star Trek The Next Generation game, and it looked photorealistic. I'm like, holy shit, I want to find this. So I went out of my way to track down a final build before it was shut down of this game so that I could have it in my library. Because I'm like, no, I as a Star Trek fan, I need this. Because it's a Star Trek game done right. And it looks stunning. And that's how I found out about Messy Desk, and that's how I got a copy of Stage 9, the final build, before they shut it down. And the final build has, like, you can play it in VR or non-VR. So not only does it look photorealistic, but imagine just walking around the ship in full VR, 3-dimensional, like feeling like you're really there. It's insane. So then from there they went on to the Orville one, which is a lot more fleshed out. And more story based, but still on board the ship, you still have access to everything. You can literally go into the Hollow Suite that they have and play and open up. You can play bowling in the Hollow Suite and stuff like it's really cool. They really went out of their way with that game. But yeah. The complete change of topic here. We were talking about superheroes.
It happens.
Yeah. I know what Spider-Man eats, at least from the games anyway. He eats pizza a lot. Pizza and bagels.
That's actually one of the other interesting things. You know, you're talking about the video games Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
You do realize that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man has to eat more than any of the others.
I haven't seen those movies in forever. I have them, but I haven't watched them in forever. But
They
go
don't.
ahead.
I don't think they address it. But he would have to eat more than any of the other versions of Spider-Man because because his body creates the webbing.
Yeah.
That requires nutrients. That's why most spiders, after they spin a web and they're ready to move on, they tear down and reconsume that silk.
That was a weird. I don't like how Sam Raimi went about that in those movies. I remember that now, and I remember a lot of fans were like, "That's not how." They were just like, "No."
Well, that's I hate when I honestly hate when fans do that, because it's like, this is a reimagining of something. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, you guys are perfectly, you know, like, these are the same people that are like, oh, they're perfectly fine with something like, oh, well, Spider-Man's parents were, you know, had this the secret base in the subways and were kind of sort of led to the creation of the spider that he gets bit with and stuff. You're fine with that, but hey, you know, the idea of, you know, but the idea of something that you're not quite on board with. It's like, nope, I reject this. It's like
it's not as bad as it was, but back then when that was the first Spider-Man movie and it came out and people went to the theater and saw that no, he doesn't have a web shooter, he shoots from his actual wrist. A lot of people were pissed off about that back then. Nowadays, it's not so much like that because if you play the Spider-Man game by Insomniac Games, they totally spun that the whole concept on its head, and nobody complained. They were like, you know what? No, it's kind of original. We kind of like it, because in the Insomniac version, Peter Parker doesn't work at the Daily Bugle. It's Mary Jane Watson who does, and he works at a homeless shelter, and he also works for Doc Ock for Oscorp, and he unknowingly helps Doc Ock create the octopus suit, which ends up being his downfall as the game goes on.
I mean, I'm perfectly all right with change myself to anything like this as long as the change is better or at least doesn't harm. I don't have an opinion on quote-unquote organic web shooters because like you can do the same plot twist, like something interferes with his ability to shoot the web the same way he could be out of web fluid in his bracers, whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I said, it's like it's based on how much material he has to use, i.e., how much he eats.
Mm.
And being a starving student a lot of the time, well,
yeah.
I feel like I gotta be honest. In the game, I feel like the whole pizza scene was forced because when they show up at the pizza place, it's him and MJ. They show up and they're having pizza together, and the guy who serves them the pizza is Stan Lee. And it literally just felt like they just needed a spot to put in Stan Lee for his final cameo, and it just felt like they just made that scene solely to have Stan Lee show up and be like, "Here's your pizza," and like, you know, I don't know. It felt really forced to me, that scene, but it was cool, I guess. And then in Miles Morales, which was like the standalone sequel of sorts, if you swing by that pizza parlor, they have a giant gold statue of Stan Lee, and they have one of his quotes on the bottom of the statue. I think it's like I can't remember what the quote is. I have to look it up again, but it's a really nice statue devoted to, because he had died at that point when the second game came out, and so they had this giant gold statue erected in the game. They also, as well, there's the Wakandan embassy in the game, and the street corner sign says Boswick Avenue after Chadwick Boseman? Yeah. Boseman, Chadwick Boseman. Sorry, Boseman Avenue after Chadwick Boseman. And it's literally, if you go to the Wakandan embassy in that game in New York City, you'll see a street sign that says Boseman Avenue. So it's really cool that they put those little nods into the game for these two very iconic people who, you know, everybody loves.
I will say, as far as the idea of what superheroes eat and how much and stuff like that, I do have to give props to the people that were writing Wolverine. I think it was in the 90s. Because they had him basically like out in a desert somewhere, you know, just no food, no water, no nothing, and he was laying there completely still until a vulture came by. He reached up, snagged the vulture, and just started tearing into it, just devouring it raw. And he's like, you know, hey, a healing factor only does so good, but you can't heal if you don't have any material with which to heal. And it's like, finally somebody like actually addresses that type of a thing.
Yeah. That makes me wonder what the upcoming Wolverine game is going to be like. Because all I know from it is that it's made by the same guys who made the Spider-Man games, Insomniac Games, and that they said it's going to be very dark and violent. That's all they've said. And I'm like, well, damn, we've already had one really dark and violent Wolverine game, and that was I actually have it. Wolverine it was one based on off of one of the movies, and it actually had the entire cast from that movie in the game. And that was rare back then. That was on the PS3, and they had like everybody.
Wasn't
Hugh
that
Jackman was in the
Origins?
game. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yes.
Wasn't Frostmourne in that game?
I who?
Frostmourne, the sword from World of Warcraft. They decided to throw it into Wolverine Origins, the game.
Yes, there's a lot of Easter eggs in the game. Yes, there is a sword from World of Warcraft in that game. Yes, they also have the vault from Lost. You can go into one part of a level, which is like a very foresty level, and if you go down a certain path, they have the vault from Lost. If you ever see the TV show Lost, there's like these vaults in the ground. They have one of those in the game too. They have a lot of Easter eggs from different shows and video games. It's just because of the creators of the game were such huge nerds and loved all these different things, and they're like, well, you know what? We love this. Let's put it in the game. We're not going to have it make any sense, but it's there. People can find it.
I will say this: them saying that, oh well, the Wolverine game is going to be, it's going to be very, very violent and stuff like that. It's like it's a Wolverine game, obviously. You're not going to walk through a petting zoo.
No, but
for 8 hours. Come on.
The only reason they're saying that is because there have been a lot of really tame Wolverine and X-Men style games. The only one that was really violent was X-Men Origins Wolverine. And going back to what I was saying about all the actors being in that, they even had Ryan Reynolds in that as Deadpool. I was like, damn. Like, just going back to that game now and playing it now on my PS3 and just like, that was insane because not a lot of games have big name Hollywood actors involved in them anymore. It's like, it's few and far between. I mean, it happens here and there, but it's not very often. More so it's sound-alikes or like it's either sound-alikes or just not having the characters sound anything like the TV and movie counterparts.
I'm reminded of John Rhys Davies. He, of course, did extra work as Gimli for some of the PS2 Lord of the Rings games.
Yeah.
Which means he also gave video commentary and interviews on there. And my favorite part of that is when he's saying, oh yes, everyone's going to go for the pretty Aragorn and Legolas. But he turns towards the camera and, without any makeup on, of course, acts like Gimli and goes, but for real quality warfare, you have to go with the dwarf.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I will say this as far as the they don't get big name actors and stuff like that for the roles. They also don't really make any movie licensed video games anymore.
No, and the reason for that is because most movie licensed video games were terrible.
Exactly.
There's a few exceptions. Obviously, X-Men Wolverine was one of them. Ghostbusters, the video game, was another, which had the entire original cast.
That wasn't that doesn't count. That doesn't count because that wasn't licensed from a movie. That was licensed from a franchise, but not from a movie.
No,
you mean
I know.
It was original content?
Exactly.
It was the third movie penned by
but you can't
Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis.
You can't license something that was never made.
Yeah.
So, for example, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, that is a licensed movie.
No,
that is
yeah.
a licensed video game.
No,
Harry Potter, doing an original story for Harry Potter would not be. That's my point. They don't do them anymore. Those were very few and far between. And like I said, Ghostbusters doesn't count because that movie was never made. They could have changed anything and everything about it, and nobody would have been pissed about it. But if they had changed, if they'd made major changes to like the Harry Potter franchise, the Lord of the Rings, any of those, then yeah, they would have gotten, people would have had their nuts in a vice for it.
Well, I think one of the parts you might have been getting at is licensed movies directly into video games don't work. I think we're talking about the matter of, well, pacing. It's very difficult to shove a 40-hour game into the same content space as a 2 to 3 hour movie. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, it's very true.
It could work with a series, maybe, when you've got hours and hours of footage. At which point, if you wanted to make a Lord of the Rings game, you would have to have made it containing all 3 movies, extended scenes and all. But
Yeah.
Now, Ollamh, sorry to interrupt. I don't know if you ever played The Witcher 3 or not. Did you ever play that on your channel or anything, or did you have any interest in that game?
Not on my channel. I've played it a little bit off and on, but
Okay. So they're remastering it. It's coming out on Wednesday of next week. They've remastered it. And not only did they remaster it, they added all new content, and they've added a whole bunch of new missions and outfits and stuff like that from the Witcher Netflix series. So it's getting a complete revamp with a whole new game engine, and that comes out this Wednesday.
okay. I'm kind of hit and miss as far as remasters and stuff like that. Honestly, it's like most of the time for me, remastered boils down to we want to milk more money out of you for this same product.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's like we're gonna work our staff to the point where they're ready to pass out. And you know what? And in the hopes that you guys are gonna want to buy this game yet again. I mean, like, how many times have they released like Skyrim and the Fallout games and stuff like that? It's like there comes a point where it's like you're buying the same game.
Never mind that. How many times have they released Grand Theft Auto 5?
Yeah,
it's getting ridiculous.
It's like you guys are spending so much of your time and money making this game yet again instead of creating something new.
yep.
Yeah, and I do have to say that I have, because I got it for free, but I do have to say that the next gen upgrade for GTA 5 is not worth it in the slightest. All they did was improve the graphics slightly. They added more cars and more pedestrians. They fleshed out the world a little bit more, but aside from that, it's the exact same game. It just has higher frame rates and that's about it. It's higher density and frame rate.
The game I want them to remake, re-release, all that good stuff, they will never do.
What game?
Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest.
Another question I have for you guys, actually. Did you at all watch the Game Awards last night?
No.
Heard about the results secondhand from someone who was watching.
Yeah, I'm not happy with the results, but it was interesting the fact that they had Al Pacino as a presenter. I was like, the fuck? When was the last time we've heard anything from Al Pacino? First,
Scarface the game?
He wasn't even in that game. He had nothing to do with that game.
Ah, okay. I never played it, so I was thinking.
Scarface the game. They had Andre Sigluzio do the voice of Scarface not Scarface. What am I saying? Of Tony Montana. Yes. So they had Andre Sigluzio do his voice. It's going back to what Ollamh said earlier on about getting really good sound-alikes. And this guy was a sound-alike that was personally hired for the game by Al Pacino. Al Pacino had seen him do. Al Pacino had seen him do the voice of Tony Montana and was like, no, we're getting this guy because he sounds exactly like me. We're getting this guy. And so Al Pacino, yes, in a sense, had something to do with that game, but not as much as everybody thinks.
Yeah, that was a few days ago on the Red Dead Redemption stream.
Yes, that was when we discussed it. Yep.
Yeah, for those who are watching this and don't get the frame of reference.
Yeah.
I'm suddenly reminded of when they got a sound-alike for Leonard Nimoy in the Civilization series.
And they got a sound-alike for him in the upcoming Star Trek game coming out next April.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the sound alike looks amazing. If you watch this upcoming Star Trek, it's called Star Trek. Star Trek. I can't remember. Just look up the upcoming Star Trek game, and it's you create your own character, and you go into this world. You command your own ship, but it's very much a point-and-click style adventure game with action adventure elements, and Spock is in it as General Spock, and looks exactly like Leonard Nimoy. They rendered him perfectly, but they got a sound-alike to do Leonard Nimoy's voice, and I'm telling you, this sound-alike, you would not know the difference.
General
You would not know the difference. Admiral, maybe? I don't know.
Admiral.
It would have been Admiral.
I was gonna say, it's like they're a Navy. They
Yeah.
Generals don't usually show up in navies. That's what I'm like. Wait a second, what?
But yeah, no, I meant to say Admiral. No, it's stunning. I mean, he sounds exactly like. As a matter of fact, so much so that people were like, "Okay, hold up, was this recorded before Leonard Nimoy died?" And the game creators are like, "No, this sounded like we hired." And they're like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
Everyone was like, "Damn."
Well, that was again part of our discussion the other night.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
like how often they use sound-alikes in productions. One of the ones that we pointed at that we were discussing was in Free Guy.
Yes, we discussed Free Guy. They sounded like for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. And it's actually, it's somebody who generally does sound-alikes for Ryan Reynolds these days. It's actually John Bailey.
And you said you met him.
Epic voice guy, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I got to meet him at Indie
cool.
PopCon a few years ago.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Very, 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 very nice man. Just absolutely, just completely down to earth, and just like, oh yeah, hey.
They often are. I mean, voice actors in general are often very humble and really nice. Less so actors, I find. I find that a lot of actors from movies and stuff like that, they can be kind of negative. And I mean, obviously there's some who aren't, but for voice actors, I've never really ran into any negative voice actors. They've always been very outgoing and positive.
I have, but then I was working security at an anime convention, so I probably ran to a much larger sample set, and so eventually met the asshole by sheer odds.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, you know, I would be willing to bet it probably depends more on what level they're at than anything else. Like, you can have somebody who is generally a nice guy, but basically is kind of is kind of more of a low key actor, not like one of the top 3.
Yeah.
And they're more they would be more likely to be, to be really down to earth and really just a nice person.
I remember seeing a video somebody had uploaded of they went to a convention. This was a long time ago, older video. They went to a convention and Leonard Nimoy it was late at night and he was coming inside the convention and he had his camera out and Leonard Nimoy was exiting the doors to go, I'm assuming, back to his hotel. And this person went right into his face with the camera and said, "Oh, Mr. Nimoy, can I get an autograph?" And the guy goes, and Leonard Nimoy goes, "Get out of my face." And so we uploaded this on YouTube, and he said, "Oh, Leonard Nimoy is a terrible human being. He treated me like shit for no reason." And I like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's
you're getting into his face as he's leaving to go home at night after being in a convention for God knows how long. Not only do you have a camera thrust into his face, but you're demanding an autograph for him as he's trying to go home for the night. Dude, anybody would be like that. Don't write it off as Leonard Nimoy's an asshole. No, you're the asshole, my friend.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, with any video like that, you have to really be kind of like, you have to really stop and look at the situation. It's like, look, what's really happening here? You know, it's
Yep. No, it was. As soon as I watched the video, I'm like, no, I see so much wrong here. First of all, you're going to a convention as they're closing, as everybody's going home, and physically getting right up in an actor's face, demanding an autograph while recording them. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't use the Vulcan death trip on you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say the only time. Okay, so quick story. Why I don't know the name of the voice actor I dealt with.
Okay.
But I was running security at a door. Basically, it's like I check ID, I check, convention pass. You gotta have both of these to enter. This person tries to barge right past me. I say, no, you can't. I need to see. Oh wait, it was daytime, so I didn't need ID. I just need a convention pass. Said,
Yeah.
I'm a guest of honor. You don't need to see my. I'm pretty sure I do. I'm a voice actress. And I just look at her and shrug. And
Yeah.
don't you think you'll get in trouble? It's like, you're a voice actress in English. Yeah. I only watch Japanese with subtitles. Just to drive home the point. Who says being an elitist prick isn't always a good thing? Anyway. Her agent then came up later and attempted to pull the same shit. It's like, if you two were guests of the convention, you'd have a pass. Go to someone and get a pass. Didn't see them the rest of the time. Is it very possible, given the particular voice she had, that she was an actress? Potentially, in which case, but if she wasn't, then technically you're right. I still haven't met an asshole voice actor.
yeah.
That sounds less like that was a voice actress and more like it was somebody just trying to get in to the convention and they were just using that as a getaway. Because it sounds way too fishy because you have to understand that these guests of honor are given passes way in advance.
They are, but the reason I'm also going to admit that it's very possible that they simply didn't think to have it on them or anything. We have a famous-ish director of anime who comes to Anime Central who is known for getting involved in shenanigans. I'm not going to mention him by name.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But we can find him having absconded with one of security's walkie-talkies, someone else's pairs of pants, all this other stuff, and we still can't find his convention pass. Like, we all know the guy on sight, so it's like, yep, it's him. You can go in here, that's fine. We'll keep him out of everything else, but...
Okay, all right.
I have stories to tell in private to you sometime.
Sounds good.
But yeah, that's the one reason I could give it some credits.
As I say, I would not be surprised if it was somebody who legitimately was a voice actress, but was like, either A, wasn't a guest of honor and didn't have a free pass.
Yeah.
I mean, we think about all the shit that a normal person would do. There's nothing stopping somebody who is a prominent voice actor from doing the same shit.
It's true.
Yeah.
They didn't want to spend the money that they didn't want to spend the money to be there, but they wanted the FaceTime or something like that. I mean, there's just because somebody has a desirable job doesn't necessarily make them a good person.
Very true.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'll be honest, I haven't been to conventions in a very long time. I stopped doing conventions I'd say a year before COVID hit. And I haven't really gone back to any since then because conventions are a thing again. The one year, I think it was like the first year that lockdown happened, they tried doing this convention. It was a local convention that we always went to and stuff like that. And they tried doing it over VR chat. And they recreated the entire... It's nuts. They recreated the entire hotel that the convention takes place in, and all the panels and everything in VR chat. And it was creative, I'll give it that. But it's not the same as being at an actual convention. It just felt weird. And so I didn't stick around in it for very long. I was just like, well, this is strange. And you didn't have to buy a pass or anything because it was all free. So there was a lot of people just showing up at this thing, and I don't know. It was very odd. And technically that was my last convention, and it was a virtual one. And it didn't last very long for me.
Yeah, that just sounds weird.
Yeah, it was.
I finally made Gen Con for the first time in obviously a few years this year, because I waited. I did not go to the 2021 attempt because I was afraid it was going to be a shit show and a super spreader event. Apparently it didn't get that bad, and they were still making vaccines and masks mandatory, so I went this year. Still had a COVID scare and skipped the last day of the convention as a result, because I didn't want to be the guy who brought it in.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Basically, some people I had dinner with Friday night.
One
One of them tested positive. I find that out Sunday morning. I tell the people I'm sharing a hotel room with. I tell everyone I've been, close around, even with the mask on and proximity. I leave. I get tested immediately, and again days later, both negative. So it's like, oh damn, I could have stayed. But I didn't know I could have stayed at the time. So
you did the right thing by leaving anyway, because
right.
You could have had COVID and not known, and yeah.
Right. But I'm like, yeah, it's like, I don't know where I was going with this. There was something with regards to what you were saying about strange things happening at conventions, and now I've completely lost it. Because that's honestly pretty normal, all things considered.
Yeah. Now, the strangest thing we've ever had at conventions in the past was people brought actual firearms to the convention and thought, oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. They're loaded and everything, but it's okay. It's okay. They're part of my cosplay. Well, no, that's not okay. That's never okay.
Yeah.
You can't bring loaded firearms into a hotel, convention, or otherwise. What are you?
No, you really cannot.
So they got arrested, but yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that actually, if I remember right, I think that happened at oh god, what was it? It was either one of the Gen Con or one of the indie pop cons. It was one of the two in Indiana.
Weird as it sounds, I could see that totally happening at Gen Con Milwaukee before the 2003 move. Because Gen Con Milwaukee, much as I have fond memories right up until the end when it became a shit show, often was a shit show under the surface. It's been amazing ever since the Indianapolis move.
It can hardly get worse from the sounds of it.
Well, the final year at Milwaukee Gen Con, there were a lot of, let's just say, a lot of crimes that the police didn't bother checking in on against conventioners.
Yeah.
I think that it was like the city was, we hate that you're here and you come every year and we find it annoying, but you're taking your money with you? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Indianapolis has treated us like royalty ever since.
Sorry, I just got a comment on the new logo here that you have here. I love that you've made Rascalin a hologram. I just find that so funny. He's like a ship computer.
And the Red Dwarf theme plays through my head, and I don't know whether I'm Rimmer or Holly.
Well, now that's a good question, actually.
I do really like that. I think that's really clever. That's good.
Does this mean I have to cosplay with the bloody H on my forehead?
No, no. No, it's like, okay, I don't really have, there's not really a place for somebody else to sit. So it's like, all right, fine, we'll do it this way then.
No, it's really creative. It reminds me kind of the Space Quest. I think it was Space Quest 6, where you have the hologram inside the shuttlecraft. The
Yeah.
holographic. It reminds me of that. This is cool. I like it. I really do. But yeah,
I figured you would have had some kind of a snide comment as far as the fact that you're a worker bot.
Yeah, I don't like the body that you gave me, but whatever. It's whatever. It's whatever. Yeah, it's fine. No, just the hologram of Rascalin is awesome. I just think it's really cool.
Where's the
I just-
comments at? I couldn't
I
see
just-
it in Discord.
Where's the what?
I didn't know where the comments were at, unless people are just sending them to you.
Comments. I
Oh,
didn't say anything about comments.
it was Gamer's comment about it.
Ah, okay.
No, I just said I really like it. It's funny. I just picture you being like a very sarcastic computer.
Okay. I misunderstood.
Everybody needs at least one sarcastic nav computer.
Yeah, it would be so fun. Computer, input these coordinates. Do it yourself.
But we need to go here. Yeah, and
I don't want to go there. It's scary.
computer, calculate this. What's in it for me?
So this hospital for children thing that you're doing all this stuff for, that's for the entire month of December, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Curious. That's cool.
Yeah, that's one of those outfits that doesn't get a whole lot of attention from people.
No,
Like
a lot of
Saint-
people forget about it.
Yeah, St. Jude's. Oh, everybody does St. Jude's, and it's like, this is kind of a similar thing, but it kind of dovetails in with St. Jude's.
Yeah.
That I know people who have very much benefited from the Shriners Hospital for Children. They needed corrective surgery for scoliosis, and it was, their parents
Yay!
didn't have
I
any-
feel so much companionship.
But yeah,
How are you doing? How are you doing, by the way, Ian?
Oh, me?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Oh, just mentally preparing. I
Uh,
have to drop $700 on MRIs eventually.
Hmm.
I've
Oh.
been there. I needed it, and it was the only thing that got me treatment for my Meniere's disease, but I understand the pain there.
Yeah. I mean, this is number 5. At some point, you just stop caring.
Understandable.
hmm. So are you in any pain or anything, or?
Always, but you don't notice it.
Yeah. Damn. Wow.
The awkward silence.
I'm thinking what to talk about now. How do you go from that? That's the hard part is having some kind of compassion for someone and then being like, oh, so about Batman.
Well, actually, it's really
you can't
easy
really
because-
weave that back into a sentence.
It's really easy because, I mean, the recovery time for this is 1 year, absolutely no physical activity. So, like, the most I can walk is maybe 200 feet if I'm pushing myself.
Do
So-
they do you? Sorry,
Mhm.
John. I was gonna ask, do they do any physical therapy to keep your muscles from atrophying or what?
It's very limited. So it's basically not totally regaining motor function, but it's like just learning how to walk with it, getting used to the weight again, getting used to being slightly taller. But yeah, there's weight limit. You can't pick up anything over 5 pounds. Blah 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 blah. And so every time I went under and I had to recover, I just played video games and read comic books and read whatever I could find, which is why I have absolutely no social skills right now.
Fair.
Social skills are overrated.
Yeah.
It's true.
They're really-
I mean, I think it was the first surgery. My parents were like, "All right, we'll get you a video game that will keep you occupied for a really long time." So they got me the first 3 Devil May Cries, and I beat them all in a weekend. And they're like, "How the hell did you do that?"
They should have gotten you that little Simon Says from the 90s. You press a whole bunch of. That'll keep you busy. Yeah, no, that's. Damn.
I think the one video game that I had that I managed to piss people off like that was Fallout 3. I don't know, the first time I played it, I just like focused purely on the main story missions. It's like, all right, this game's easy. I talked to somebody a couple days later. They're like, so how far are you? I'm like, dude, I'm done. It's like, wait, what? It's like, it took me like 24 hours, but yeah, it's. If you set your mind to it, you can just walk through that game.
Yeah.
Took me a little time to realize that you shouldn't use a Fat Man tactical nuke launcher in a subway. But I walked. It was like right after I got that, I went into one of the little subways, and it was infested with the feral ghouls. I'm like, shit. All right, let's test this thing out. Boom, you're dead. What? And I hadn't really paid attention to what it was at that point. I'm like, oh, I just nuked the entire. Yeah, that's not gonna end well.
I'm curious about one thing. They're bringing back Mass Effect again, and they're bringing back Shepard, which I don't quite understand. I don't understand how this is going to work. Because at the ending of Mass Effect 3, you kind of... Shepard dies, and I'm like, well... What? Okay, so Andromeda was like set before the events of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, which was the newest Mass Effect. And now, next year, they're coming out with... I don't know what is with this year and all of these game companies being like, oh, well, these games that were highly popular way in the past, we're going to redo them, bring them out. I'm seeing it more and more. They're doing the Indiana Jones game. They're doing Mass Effect 4. They're doing... oh, God, what is it? Dead Space is getting a remake.
You know what game they should absolutely remake? E.T.
Absolutely not. And you know what? I suggest you watch the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, and that'll tell you why they shouldn't.
Oh, I have, and that's exactly why I say they should.
I could see, remaking it and doing it like an actual ET actual ET game, not whatever it was that they actually released.
Yeah, I don't remember any scene in the E.T. the movie where he stretched his neck to fly in the air, but to each their own, I suppose.
I remember playing that on my grandfather's Atari and trying to figure out what the hell I was doing.
I don't remember him and Elliot going spelunking either, but it's been a while.
I'm sure you could make a good game with the concept, But the question is, what concept? Is it a stealth game where you're hiding from the feds? Is it a game where you're literally phoning home and going home? Is it the journey there? Who knows? That's the problem.
They
How
should
do
make
you
one
make
where
that?
you're the feds trying to get to Elliot.
I kind of feel like if they had just made this Atari game, just you boot it up and it's just like ET's finger and he's dialing a phone number to go home. I feel like that would have been better than whatever the hell they made. the gamers would be like, okay, well, we're phoning home already. Well, that's good. At least we're not stretching our necks and falling into caves. That game made no sense. I'm sorry.
I mean, let's be honest, it wouldn't be far from what they did by just phoning it in, but
It's true.
E.T. Phone Studio. And I have to go here in a sec. I can honestly feel the flu shot and the blood withdrawal just kind of finally kicking in. So,
Oh, you got another COVID shot, or?
no, I had a flu shot today, and I had a bunch of vials taken for my physical. So,
Ah, gotcha.
yeah.
we've been going for just under, we're just a little bit under 3 hours at this point, but I'm starting to get kind of tired myself, so I'm thinking it's about time to call it a night.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
All right, y'all want to say your goodbyes?
Goodbye.
Yeah, absolutely. Goodbye. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you soon.
Good night, all. I hope maybe some of you will tune in to Over the Edge tomorrow night on WEFT.
Anything from you, Caden?
Already said goodbye.
All right. Well, as always, guys, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
As always, thank you guys very much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new here, don't forget to pod that subscribe button. If you want to be kept up to date of when we go live and stuff like that, make sure to ring the bell, but also check out the social media links below. The Facebook page, the Twitter account, the Tumblr account, and the permanent invite for the Discord server. All of that so that you can stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions. Cheerio!